Laura and I were the kind of love story people whispered about in hallways and smiled at during weddings. The high school sweethearts everyone rooted for. Ours wasn't the kind of love born out of convenience or circumstance. We built it brick by brick, with scraped knuckles and late-night promises, without shortcuts or safety nets. When we got married in our mid-20s, all we had to our name was a small one-bedroom apartment and a shared dream. But that was enough. I worked 2 jobs in those early years. Dirty hands, sore muscles, but a full heart. She studied late into the nights, chasing her degree in marketing. We shared takeout dinners and whisper ambitions, always believing that one day it would all pay off. And eventually it did. I started my own small contracting business. Nothing glamorous, but honest work with a steady return. We bought a modest home together, took vacations when we could, and even began talking about children. Life wasn't flashy, but it was steady. It was ours. Or at least, I thought it was. Then, almost imperceptibly, things began to shift. At first, it was subtle. More after-hours outings with co-workers, new designer clothes we hadn't budgeted for, a perfume I didn't recognize lingering in the air long after she left the room. When I asked if anything was wrong, she brushed it off with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm just evolving," she said one night, "growing into myself." I didn't realize that growing meant growing away from me. She started pulling back. Her phone became an extension of her hand, and her face lit up for the screen in a way it hadn't for me in months. We stopped talking, really talking. The silence stretched like a gulf between us, wide and cold. I chalked it up to stress. I wanted to believe it was just a phase. But deep down, something inside me had already begun to unravel. Then one night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I had never touched her phone before, but something inside me stirred, an instinct maybe. I picked it up. What I saw made the room tilt. Messages from a man named Aiden. Explicit, passionate, casual in their cruelty. Compliments drenched in lust, hotel addresses. References to weekends away I'd never known about. There was no mystery, no ambiguity. Just betrayal spelled out in characters and emojis. I confronted her, not with shouting or rage, but with stillness. She didn't deny it. She didn't even look surprised. "I love you," she said, "but I'm bored. Aiden's exciting. He's successful, confident. You become predictable." Her words hit harder than the affair itself. She spoke them like facts, like weather reports. No sorrow, no shame, just an apathetic shrug of a woman who had already made peace with what she was doing. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I simply said, "All right." That night, I packed a bag. I left our home with nothing more than the essentials and a heart that had stopped hoping. I spent a week in a motel, sorting through the wreckage of what we'd built. Then I hired a lawyer. If she wanted freedom, I'd give it to her, every last piece of it. The business and the house were in my name. She kept her job and her designer bags. I didn't contest anything. I didn't throw dirt. I filed the papers quietly, cleanly, and stepped away from a mess she made. For a while, she seemed fine. She posted pictures, lavish dinners, sleek dresses, snapshots of her and Aiden on getaways meant to look spontaneous but reeked of performance. But luxury doesn't equal loyalty, and attention doesn't build a foundation. Within 2 months, the messages started. "Aiden isn't who I thought he was. He's distant, controlling. I miss us." I didn't respond. Not because I was being cruel, but because I had nothing left to say. She had already told me everything I needed to know. When she kissed another man, when she chose excitement over stability, when she called me predictable like it was a curse. Then came the angry text. "You didn't even fight for me. I gave up everything, and you just walked away." As though betrayal deserved another chance. As though love was a light switch she could flip on again when the newness wore off. I remained silent. Her friends began to pull back. Our mutuals didn't take sides out loud, but their quiet distance said enough. They saw what happened. They saw how carelessly she threw away a decade of loyalty and love. Now, she lives alone in a small apartment she struggles to afford. The handbags remain, but the shine has dulled. Meanwhile, I thrived, not out of spite, but out of peace. My business grew rapidly. I hired more help, took on bigger contracts, expanded into a new city. I bought a new home, not extravagant, but full of light and calm. The kind of place where I wake up to stillness, not suspicion. I started dating again, slowly and cautiously. I no longer search for fireworks, just warmth, honesty. Someone who understands that loyalty isn't boring, it's rare. A year after the divorce, I ran into her at the grocery store. She looked tired, stripped of all the polish she used to wear like armor. No makeup, plain clothes, empty eyes. She said hi, forced a smile. "You look good," she said quietly. I nodded once and kept walking. That night, she texted me. "I miss what we had." I didn't realize what I was losing until it was already gone. I stared at the message for a moment, then turned off my phone. She had chosen the thrill of the moment over the safety of what we built. Surface over substance. Novelty over depth. And she lost. Not because I punished her, but because she gambled something sacred and it slipped through her hands. I sleep well now. Not because I'm bitter, but because I stayed true to myself. Her boredom cost her everything. And in the end, my silence said everything she refused to hear.